what is your name and how long have you been practicing Sikhism?
My name is Jas Singh, and I have been a Sikh for roughly 2 to 3 years, a little over 2 years, I'd say.
What made you seek out and want to practice Sikhism out of all the religions?
I mean, the thing that got me interested in Sikhi in the beginning was just the first interaction I had with the Sikh, which was way back in high school, and it had been in the back of my mind for a number of years. But I guess I'm naturally curious, and I enjoy philosophy and religion in general. So as I started learning about it, I realized that Sikhi and the worldview that I already had meshed really well together. So just finding out like the emphasis on equality of genders, equality of equality of between religions, the fight for justice against oppression for all people. Those things really spoke to me. So I guess that's what got me interested in the first place.
What can you tell me about the origins of Sikhism? How did it start? How did it grow to have millions of followers? What's the history behind all of it?
So Sikhi started about, I forget the exact year, around 500, 600 years ago with Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And Guru Nanak started off basically looking around at the different
Religions?
the different religions of the time, the different practices of the time, and realized, first of all, Guru Nanak, didn't really have an ego or eradicated his ego, and saw through the illusion that we're separate from God, that God is everywhere, God is everything, everything that is created that isn't created, and saw a lot of empty rituals going on that people had really kind of tied their lives to, and started teaching, hey, first of all, remember God in everything everywhere and everything that you do. And there's nothing wrong with having religious practices, but make sure that they're meaningful, not empty rituals that don't really serve anything. Past that, it was this idea of treating everybody as equal, because everybody is God, everybody is part of God, God is everywhere. We're all equal before God, we're all equal before the Guru. There were problems that sometimes unfortunately continue today, where women aren't treated equally. Women weren't treated equally in that society, and Guru Nanak kind of put their foot down against that sort of thing, or any type of religious discrimination or oppression that was going on. So,
I guess it's a long history of just trying to bring inclusion of all the religions and bring equality, especially in a place like India, where there's a lot of inequality with the classes.
That's class system. Like the caste system was another issue. You had people being in the quote unquote untouchable caste that were treated like second, third class citizens, that kind of thing. You had people in like a Brahmin class that were more like the elite of society, and here comes Guru Nanak saying, no, just do away with this caste system. That this is ridiculous. That all people are equal from birth. There's no difference, because again, we're all part of God. God is everywhere. God is infinite.
Do you think Sikhism has changed in any way, from when it started 600 years ago and now it's in the West? Is there anything it has gained or lost along the way?
That's a great question. I think for that you have to take it on a case-by-case basis, depending on where you go and what Gurudwara you're in. Since the time, since Guru Gobind Singh Ji's time, I think there have been some changes. There have been more, from the original Khalsa system, after Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave up their human form and established Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji as our eternal Guru, there have been more splinters off of that. There are more sects of Sikhs here and there. So there have been some changes. Whether or not something has been lost in those cases, I don't know if I'm qualified to say. Because I'm only really familiar with Orthodox Sikhi, Khalsa Sikhi, which is what I'm part of. Thank you so
Thanks so
much.
much.
I think that, I mean, there have been changes in terms of, in some places changes like in terms of like etiquette or dress code, whereas, you know, back then, like for example, the Nihang Sikhs, I should say, not Singhs, you know, they're kind of descended from the, you know, that warrior group of Sikhs. And they've maintained a lot of that strict martial tradition. The training that goes into it, the training with different weapons or Shastar Vidya, the dress code, they always wear chola sahib, they always wear dumala sahib, a particular type of turban. It's a much larger type of turban, it protects the head more. And maintaining, you know, weapons in that turban, they always have at least 5 weapons on them. You know, all for the purpose of defending against oppression. You know, you don't see that as often outside of groups like that. So, you know, like any group or religion, you know, more levels of observance have developed over time. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but it is different.
Yeah, and I saw you carry the knife. I was going to ask you about it. Is it in any way the knife you carry, is it practical or only symbolic? Would you ever be allowed to use it?
Another really good question. So, historically, it was very much a practical thing. Sikhi is in many ways about practicality. This is my kirpan. The kirpan comes in different shapes and sizes. Some Sikhs believe it must be of a certain size, others not so much. Some Sikhs believe that it must be sharp and ready for use. Some believe that it can be purely symbolic. So my answer might differ from others. It's not something that we use like on the daily, like a pocket knife. Like if we need like a, you know, something to open a box, that's not what this is for. Especially given, depending on where you live, there are different legalities and laws coming into question about carrying a knife. You know, it's important that we refer to it as an article of faith first and foremost. So, if you were ever to actually use this, it would only ever be used to defend yourself or defend others. And that's only if there's no other choice. What Guru Gobind Singh Ji would say is that when all attempts at diplomacy have failed, it is noble to pick up the sword. So you must exhaust any and all options to resolve a matter peacefully before you use violence. And again, violence not in anger, but only in defense of yourself or someone else. That would be the only situation that it would be appropriate to use a kirpan. And even then, many Sikhs, if they are in that situation, they may see the kirpan as the reminder that they are to act, but they don't necessarily have to act with the kirpan. Even if that means getting physically involved, you might not use the kirpan. You might use something else. You might use your body. You might use another legal weapon that you have on your hand. It might be as simple as making a phone call. And this is to inspire that in the modern day more than anything. Historically, kirpans were sometimes, 3-foot-long swords that people kept on them at all times. So.
Did you receive any pushback from the Sikh community because you're not, Indian at all, or like of a certain demographic, or are they as welcoming as they seem to be? Because when I came at the temple here, everybody is so welcoming. So tell me about your experience just exploring Sikhism.
Really, in my personal experience, everybody's been very welcoming. The worst that I've experienced is like some confusion here and there, and not a lot, but a little confusion of I get asked very frequently, how did you find out about Sikhi? Like they're surprised that I even know that Sikhi exists, or that I knew that when I first started coming here. So I can't say that I've personally gotten really any pushback. I haven't had anybody, like in a negative way question why I'm here or tell me that I shouldn't be here or not to do this. I've definitely gotten a couple of, like in my job, like out at work, like maybe a Sikh customer comes in and I greet them, and I've been met with a little like confusion, like they don't know how to react at first, or they're not sure. Okay, do you just know about Sikhi, or are you a Sikh? That kind of thing. So no, everybody's been extremely welcoming. You'll find in general, most Sikhs will be at worst confused and at best overjoyed that somebody is interested in Sikhi or knows about them, let alone wants to join. I've heard of stories where some people have experienced some sort of discrimination or kind of othering for not being Punjabi or because of the language barrier that you sometimes find. But that's not been my personal experience.
No, that's awesome. Like in a sense of like Sikh being a very inclusive and kind of, it brings Christians and Islam and Hindus together. Are there any other religions you kind of admire and think have something worth kind of taking from?
Other religions? I think that there's a principle in Sikhi that our measuring stick of truth is always supposed to be Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the teachings of our Guru, the hukam of our Guru. But we are encouraged, we're encouraged by decree from Guru Gobind Singh Ji, we're not supposed to harbor any kind of antipathy for other religions. We're supposed to respect other religions, learn from other religions, whatever resonates in the truth, whatever lines up with Guru Granth Sahib Ji, or whichever Guru's hukam. We're supposed to, it's like the grains of truth that are everywhere. Take those grains of truth, learn from them, admire them, respect them. We're also encouraged to learn about politics and things like that and be knowledgeable on these things. So I think there's something to admire about almost any given religion. Personally, I was born into a mixed faith home, kind of a Christian and Jewish home, so I know the most about those two faiths other than Sikhi. So there's a lot that I still admire about those. There's a lot that I admire about Buddhism, which is another Dharmic religion. And I admire the similar idea of do no harm. Try to help other people, and if you can't help them, at least don't harm them. Which I think is in line with the Sikh idea of charitable giving and trying to help and defend others. So Buddhism would be pretty high up there on my list.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in a sense, it's kind of hard to explain all the mystical stuff that comes with Sikhism, as in every religion kind of there's something mystical about it. But if somebody was watching this and was kind of wondering what are some practicals I can kind of get from Sikhism, do you have any recommendations, something they can apply in their lives that will help them kind of grow and become a better person?
I think Sikhi, a couple things come to mind. See if I can explain this well enough. One, something that personally Sikhi has helped me with is accepting myself kind of the way that I am and accepting my body the way that it is. We see, our body is not an accident or a mistake. Our body is a gift from Waheguru. So, the worrying about my appearance too much. Yes, Sikhi puts an emphasis on hygienic living, but in terms of, do I look this way? Do I look that way? Am I worried about the clothing that I'm wearing? The ego that kind of goes along with worrying about vanity can become stressful, I think. So, body positivity, that's the term. Body positivity is something that I think is important within Sikhi. Realizing that you're beautiful the way that you are, and I mean, it's your body and your choice, and you can do what you want to with it. Nobody, Sikhi is very much a voluntary religion, so you're not forced to do anything. But Sikhi has a message of, hey, you're beautiful the way that you are. And past that, in terms of practicality, Sikhi is about practicality in general. The importance of maintaining hygiene, the importance of trying to take care of yourself, take care of your body, trying to be healthy. I mean, those are things that Sikhis kind of helped me get a handle on in my life. I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I'm losing my train of thought. I thought I had a third one for you.
That's okay. You guys gave me food. That's another one.
I'm sorry?
The idea of giving food to the needy, that's a good one, charitable.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Giving to charity, charitable giving and work in general.
Yeah.
Or selfless work. It's called seva within Sikhi.
Yeah.
Selfless seva. Seva is selfless service.
Yeah.
And that could be. I mean, that could be something like coming in and cleaning at the Gurudwara, at the temple. That could be serving food, serving langar. We have the concept of langar, which is the free community kitchen and community meal. It takes place at services, but look at any natural disaster that's taken place within the last few years or decade. You're going to find some group of Sikhs somewhere organizing to try to get food to the people that need food. So helping people in whatever way you can, small acts of kindness go a long way. That's pretty heavily emphasized within Sikhi as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Just like, some clarification about Sikhism and just, what you would want people to know about being a Sikh?
I'd say, I think there are some misconceptions out there about Sikhi. There's, how do I put this? I think a lot of people, especially in Western countries, they see somebody with a turban, they see somebody with a beard, and for one reason or another, we often get, I myself have been mistaken for being Muslim, and there's nothing wrong with that. And most Sikhs are not going to turn around and go, oh, hey, no, I'm not a Muslim, I'm a Sikh. Because there's nothing wrong with being thought of as being a Muslim. But we are our own distinct tradition. We are our own distinct religion with distinct beliefs. We're not an amalgamation of different parts of this and parts of that. So I would encourage people to read about Sikhi, maybe visit a Gurudwara, because as long as you come in and you're respectful, literally the Gurudwara by design is open to anyone of any faith or lack thereof. 99.999% of the time you're going to be welcomed with open arms. People will offer you food, and if you want to learn, people will, to the best of their ability, try to teach you and answer any questions that you have. So that's what I would add. Just remember, we are distinct. We're our own group of people, a separate religion, and you're more than welcome to come and learn if you'd like.
Wow. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I've learned a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Happy to. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thanks.